What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew with a brand new episode of the Paul James Show. It is our Monday night review episode, and we're going to get into it nice and quickly. You're catching me between show, like right off the back of one show, eating some dessert that my wife's put together. It's good stuff. Homemade apple crumble. You love to see it. Thank you to her. She's an absolute rock star. Dealing with me having done a 4.5 hour post-game live last night. Another live show tonight. Off the back of another hour-long podcast. She's sick to death of me, I'd imagine. Well, can't be. Actually, this is pretty solid. But anyway, thank you to her. Thank you to all of you for jumping in on board tonight. Very keen to talk all about the Cats once again. Last night, as I said, 4.5 hour long Paul James show. So I think it kind of changes the structure of this one a little bit. You've heard me talk 4.5 hours of Cats with a whole host of you last night, both live in the chat and also live in the call. Was he going to say Paul game live? I mean, we all know the truth. Like, I carry the Hoops Crew on my shoulders, and now I'm giving you like some mukbang shit. All right. Yeah, well, roaming. Sort your sleep schedule out. You should have buckled in ready for a monster show, because that's exactly what you're going to get. I've been leaving voice notes in the Discord, as Jackie says. I'm hustling. This week, I'll paint a bit of a picture for this week. So obviously I wasn't expecting 4.5 hours, but we had a 4.5 hour long post-game live last night. I then went to work today, had to arrive there much earlier than usual in time for a 8:15 meeting. I've then had my games podcast patched. Check that out on podcast feeds tomorrow, 7 a.m. Search patched. Patch. Like the thing that goes, you put on your clothes to fix them up. ED on the end. Patched. Got a great episode there. Recorded that. We're doing this. I managed to squeeze in enough of the week, which will go live sometime tomorrow as well. What else? So then tomorrow, we cast our eyes forward. Shadoo's nailed it. Lincoln Park tickets are tomorrow. I'm riding solo as a year level leader tomorrow, so I've got a whole bunch of extra responsibilities there. 11 a.m. pre-sale, all about it. I'm getting it through CommBank Yellow. I don't know if anyone else is, but that's my plan. So doing that, full day of meetings. Wednesday at 3:30 in the morning, no less. So Lucas, you'll still be conscious. You can join me on the Discord if you like, as well as anyone else who is keen as well. Gamescom opening night live is on. That's like a 2-hour stream that's going to be going on. It'll take me right all the way through to when I have to get up and get ready for the workday. So I need sleep deprived again. Then I don't have basketball. Actually, we've got to buy. I've got embargoes that I've got to hit. I can't even talk about those ones. But some of you have been guessing some of the games I've been playing. I've got embargoes around that. I've got other embargoes. I've got game codes that are coming today. Flat chat at the moment. It's a good problem to have. I will not be hosting the Paul James show on Thursday night. Ben's going to take it. I need a night off, and to keep on top of all the other stuff. Then we're into the cycle again. It just never stops. It's good stuff. Anyway, enjoy my mukbang content for now. They make loud, gross sounds, don't they? Anyway. All right, let's get on with tonight's show. Tonight, we've got the agenda here. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit different in terms of the way we break down the game, because we've done heaps of it. People have had the opportunity to check out my reaction video. We've had we've had post-game live. There's been plenty of stuff already. We've heard me talking about it. Bianca's happy to fill in. Didn't we come up with an idea that we were hoping that Bianca would be keen on being a part of? Keen to discuss that one more throughout the course of the show. But anyway, we are going to dive a bit more heavily into some of today's news in particular. We've had a few stories break over the course of the day. Of course, the biggest, broader, more bigger than the AFL, bigger than the Geelong Football Club, of course, has been the story about Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller, who has signed a 2-year times $2 million contract, which is a really, really big deal. Obviously, I think there was a lot of people, I think rightly, based on history, thinking that, well, not rightly, I guess incorrectly, but reasonably, I should say, based on recent history, you would expect him to leave, as many players have. But he stuck around. 2 years is a really interesting one. My take on that one, I would like to hear all of your thoughts in the chat right now. Firstly, it's 2 years for Geelong to make a good pitch and get him. But I think it's a really clever one because I think the Saints are on the right track. But if he doesn't see it, well, he's only got to get through 2 years before he can consider going to South Australia or go down the highway to Geelong or whatever it happens to be. So he's making bank off them and not having to commit too heavily. So I think it's a really, really clever one. Really well managed. And the Saints will back themselves in to be able to present a scenario that is really appealing for him, that they're going to be a finals contending team in 2 years. And maybe part of the agreement is you're getting a lot up front. If you then choose to stick around with us, I'm sorry, but we're not giving you $2 million a year. Maybe it becomes 1.5 per year from that point onwards. There's going to be some give and take, absolutely. But good luck to their bean counters in the next 2 years in particular, paying $2 million a year to Nasiah and another 1.7 to Tom de Koning. It's going to be good. Just good luck to everyone. Can't wait to see Rowan Marshall in the hoops because the club won't be able to afford to keep him. Gary asks, do you think St Kilda will withdraw their offer to TDK? No. They would have been drafting these, like, behind the scenes. They would have been putting all of their pitch ideas together. One based on if Nasiah stays, another based on if he goes, and what that looks like for them financially. And I think every single scenario would have ensured that they could get both if they financially afford both, if they could get them both. So they've done that. Congratulations to the Saints. And I actually wish them the best of luck. Obviously, there's been a horribly unlucky club for a long, long time now. And I hope this is kind of a spark for them. Don't want to see them beating us in grand finals, of course, or winning flags in front of us. But if it can't be us, I wouldn't object if it's St Kilda. I mean, Stephen Milne doesn't play for them anymore, so no harm there. Nasiah's a gun. Seems like a really nice bloke. You've got some other really good guys on the club too. I'm okay with it. But no, I think they would have budgeted for all, just TDK, just Nasiah, both. They would have had a scenario for all. So I don't think it'll be much of an issue. But it is probably going to flush others out, like the Rowan Marshalls of the world, like the I've forgotten his name. Like the other one, Cal Wilkie obviously had been there have been talks about him exploring his options, but there's been Marcus Windhager. He'd been another one that was considering his options in particular in the last week. Maybe he'd seen the writing on the wall and gone, maybe he's looks like he's going to stay. I probably need to explore my options here because there's not going to be much left over for me. Gary's right. Increase our options, our chance of getting Marshall. I think it's near on a sure thing. Scotty pops in, says, trust Steve Silvani's list management at your own peril. No, I got plenty of time for Sauce. He built that GWS list to be something fantastic. Obviously, he had a lot of handouts that GWS got at the beginning, but he built that list up to be something pretty great. They didn't execute, and he was gone by the time they got to that point. But it was his list. So, I think now is he delivering at the Saints? I think we're getting close to a point where we'd expect to see it bear fruit. And injuries are kind of getting in the way a little bit at the moment. So we'll see how that plays out. But I kind of trust him. Of course, other stories in the news today relate to our own Geelong Football Club. The big one for us to focus on here is, of course, that Shannon Neal has received a 1-week penalty for the most non-existent bump of all time. Meanwhile, Connor O'Sullivan, that everyone hooted, hollered, and booed for the entire day, wasn't even cited. So the MRO can go in the bin. If I hadn't recorded enough of the week already, which is about Isaac Rankin, stay tuned for it tomorrow. It doesn't make any sense. Now, I'm not saying that Connor O'Sullivan deserved to go either, but there is more in the Connor O'Sullivan bump than there is in the Shannon Neal thing. That is absolutely soft as butter. And Shadu, thank you. You've just steered me to my next point, which is that he's throwing punches at Mark O'Connor during this thing and nothing. Fucking protected species. They call us protected. Little Isaac Heaney can't have anything bad happen to the golden child. So as Amy's saying, as I'm sure others, as Shadu's also said, I think we appeal it. Do we need to? Probably not for Richmond, but I think we should on principle. And it's the only this is the only like Shannon Neal will be the only player that's been rubbed out from the Cats all year, and I'd kind of like to see a clean sheet at the end of the year. We're a very disciplined club at the Cats. And I think that was a pretty disciplined footy act too. Appeal for his record, Jackie says. Agreed. Kiri's just saying my respect for Heaney, and then he's got the little graph pointing, heading down. Agreed, mate. So that's the Shannon Neal situation. Of course, as I said, the Isaac Rankin story has really been blowing up. There's been talk of him, kind of reaching out and apologising yesterday on Sunday to the Collingwood player for his alleged comments, but you don't apologise if you've got nothing to apologise for. So clearly he did it, but we can't say that because someone will cause, suggest it's defamation or whatever. Fucking hell. The climate that we're in these days. Scotty's going. Tom Stewart gets away with attempted murder on Ollie Wines. Wines gets 3 weeks for a bump on Lord. Yeah, look, the Ollie Wines thing is ridiculous as well. But if Shadu kind of cast the eye forward, if we don't get him off, I don't know who's doing the work on that one. But if Shannon Neal doesn't get off without a suspension, who do bring in? Ollie Henry being the suggestion. I think absolutely. Like if that's what we need to do, then I think Ollie Henry's the right one. It's a good opportunity potentially to fill his boots, play a really good game, and make himself into a really viable option. He was so close this weekend, 2 goals 4 instead of 4 goals 2, and we might be talking about him just forcing his way back in anyway. Instead, he's still on the fringe. So we'll see what comes of it. Some other news that I haven't seen anyone talking about in the chat tonight, but there's been a big injury to a top 4 team that's popped up in the course of the last few hours. I'm talking about that gangly beanpole who ultimately is not very good at football, but is a premiership key forward. They've just lost, what's his name? He's all arms and legs, little baby giraffe going on. Oh dear, why is his name escaping me? He's just not that good. Eric Hipwood. It's a big name, it's got several letters in it, in the surname specifically. Eric Hipwood. He's Eric the Eel. There we go. He's down for 4 weeks with a calf, and that could be, depending on results, that could be finals over for him. So that's a big one, I think, structurally. Now he's not a great player, but it now puts a lot of extra heat on Logan Morris, who's having an absolute blinder of a season, playing phenomenal football. No one expected this, considering that Joe Danaher had left. But the Lions backed him in. He's developed wonderfully well. He's playing an exceptional role, but now he's going to get even more attention. And that's a lot. So, good luck to Logan Morris. I'm not saying good luck to the Lions because I reckon there's a good chance we might get to play him in the first week of the finals. He's going to have Sam Day for support, of course, but Sam Day is not he's so far from the peak of his powers, his powers were never huge. He was always a good AFL player, but not an exceptional one. And now, he doesn't have that extra support of Eric the Eel. So it'll be interesting to see how Brisbane shapes up in lieu of this. Could there be a scenario with Big O and Darcy Fort both in the team, so that one spends a bit more time up forward? There could be those sorts of scenarios playing out. I'm really interested to see how Brisbane plays this, especially considering I would say there's a high likelihood that we're going head to head with them in the first week of the final. Not a high likelihood. They play the Hawks, and the Hawks are playing good football at the moment. But there's more likely than not that we are playing Brisbane in the first week of the finals. So interested to see how that one plays out. But those are the news stories that we've got to work with so far. Please, if there's something else that I've missed, remind me, point it out to me. I'm trying to keep a bit of an eye on the Discord as we go, according to Mitch Cleary on Twitter. And it's not a dodgy Twitter handle that Kiri's going to fall victim to. So I'm not getting sent-held here. The AFL's investigation into Isaac Rankin is expected to be finalised tomorrow. Parties close to discussions preparing for Isaac Rankin to receive a ban of at least 4 matches. That's assuming Adelaide wins in the first week of finals. That's finals over for him. So he got sent-held before by a dodgy post, a fake Kel Toomey account, where it said that it's an exclusive. Isaac Rankin has been declared free to play this final series. In fact, I might quickly screen share here just so everyone can see Kiri getting punked. Where are we? Window, Discord, boom. And Lucas was the one that posted. He got him good. Take a note of the way that Cal Toomey's handle is typed out there. Sucked in, Kiri. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Morty says, what the fuck, 4 weeks, but he self-reported he may end up with 5. My stance on this is that obviously there's lots of people, and Morty, I don't know if this is where you're coming from on the matter, or just kind of the shock. I don't know how dialed into these consequences you've been, but this has been the consequence now for the whole season. Riak Andrew from Sydney in the VFL copped it. Jack Graham from West Coast copped it, and as Amy says, he self-reported. There's been a number of different cases in the last 12 to 18 months. I think even, going back quite a way now, and the consequence has been 4 or 5 weeks. So this is not out of character now for the AFL. Now, setting aside people's political or social kind of opinions here, because I know that there's some that will think their words. Why are we dishing out a consequence? Others will think that it's not hard enough. But setting aside, Brendan has just nailed it. Everyone knows what the penalty is. It is so clear to everyone now that you've got to be a fucking moron. And Isaac Rankin, if it turns out you've done this, I'm calling you a fucking moron. You've got to be a moron to make comments like this in this day and age. Full stop. But also, what the consequence is going to be if you get reported. Just fucking use your brain for a second. But yeah, that's the situation anyway. You just got to stay tuned for Enough of the Week. I'm not going to continue to rant about it anymore. Enough of the Week tomorrow is about Isaac Rankin. So stay tuned for that one. And I genuinely, for anyone watching, I don't care what your opinion is on it, whether you think it is too harsh or not harsh enough. The reality is this is what the AFL deems it to be. Call them woke if you want. Again, maybe suggest they're not being harsh enough if you want to. It doesn't really matter. This is what the consequence is, and they're the ones that get to determine it. And so if you're an AFL player, you need to go, I can't speak like this, and I don't care. Like, it shouldn't matter what your opinions are. You might be a giant homophobe. You may not be, but you can't say anything. Don't step on the AFL field and make these sorts of comments because you know that you're going to get a 4+ week consequence as things stand. It's that simple. I heard the appeal argument is that he said maggot and the crowd was so loud that it was misheard. Yeah, rarely does anyone call. Maybe if you're talking to the umpire, calling him a maggot, because that was the old nomenclature that was used there. But anyway, Lucas, you said harsh, considering the Rioli threatened players. I think the problem here though isn't with the consequence for Rankin and the others. It's the fact that Rioli got off the hook that is the problem. Yeah, and as Dub says, like it's the Rioli thing that is the inconsistent one here, not the rest. And yeah, Brendan says on the field, stick to fuckwit and dickhead. You don't really need to say anything else. 100%. There's so many like stupid, like rude, insulting comments, abusive language you can use that doesn't have to get that, like, go down that realm. I think it's that simple. But anyway, those are my thoughts on that one. I'm going to stop sharing that screen so that I can then bring the AFL website back and we can start to pull apart the Geelong and Sydney game here, which we've done a lot of again. Or Black and White United's popped in saying, and we, everyone just be careful. I know Collingwood supporter, but Black and White United has been a fantastic contributor to the show in the past. Watch the uproar if he gets 3 or less weeks. I would be pretty pissed too. There we go. Gary's dropped the old classic. Your mother wears army boots was popular. Look, I think it's probably going to fall flat in the modern day and age, but it's a classic. I like it. In fact, it's probably going to surprise the player. They'll probably have a bit of a laugh and put him off. But Black and White's right. Like, if this ends up being 3 or less, I know there's the old, thing about consequences at finals time being a little less, historically speaking. But you watch, like, the outcry, unless they better have a pretty incredible reason if they do. But the outcry, if he gets 3 or less, is going to be huge, because that would be horribly inconsistent with everything else they've done so far. And every other team in the competition would be rightly pissed. I would be. Like, if I was representing Geelong, I'd be pissed. We may not even play the Crows in the final series, but I'd be pissed because it's just stick to your guns. Just be consistent. Be consistently wrong. Be consistently wrong. I don't care. Just be consistent. Anyway, because if I don't want, the last thing I want to see is consistently inconsistent, which is the real problem. I fully expect it to be lighter than the precedent because the AFL has no integrity. It's certainly interesting. Sarah says it's all that apple crumble coming back to bite me on the ass now. Definitely overreaction by AFL on those slurs, but how hard is it to just know not to do it and say something else? Absolutely. Look, whether it's an overreaction or not, that's obviously a really subjective thing. I, for one, have no issues with the kind of level of consequence that they've been issuing this 4 to 5 week thing. They just need to stomp it out, and sometimes a really hardline approach is what gets it done. But to the other half of your point, like, just how hard is it not to say it? Yeah, that I wholeheartedly agree with. It's just not that difficult. I don't get it. The AFL is worse than secondary school. Baz got fined for flipping the bird. Mate, I'm a high school teacher and I flip the bird at my students all the time. Don't worry about it. No, kidding department. I'm kidding, education department. All right. Roaming, don't go to bed now. You stuck it out till like 11 o'clock last night. It's not even 9. Come on, stick with us. Come on. Come join the show. Have some fun. Jackie says, Michael Long racial vilification was 30 years ago and dickheads still haven't learned. There's your proof in the pudding, right? This is why it needs to be a heavy-handed consequence. And it'd be the same if I can't recall now, like, racist comments on field from other players. Like, in recent years, I can't remember a story, but there's obviously been some of the crowd stuff, and obviously we think about, like, the big Adam Goods moment and those sorts of things. But I can't think of on-field racism in a while, which is great to hear. But yeah, I'm not. Someone jog my memory if I'm forgetting something. My God. Hang on a minute. Let's get Goldie. Nice and clean. All right. Oh yeah, Tex Walker. Thank you, Black and White, for reminding. Was that on field, or was that? Oh, I can't even remember now. Was that on field stuff? Horatio asks, "Can we steer away from politics?" Yeah. Look, I don't really want to wade too heavily into the actual politics side of it, but more the actual AFL consequences of it. And as far as I'm concerned, you just need to, if you're an AFL player and you're a homophobe or you're a racist or whatever it is, firstly, do better. But secondly, shut your mouth when you're on the AFL field. It's just not that hard. But anyway, Let's move on a little bit here and start to break down our Cats and Swans game here. We'll go to the match center. We'll get our screen sharing going. What is going on? Barkley, shut your mouth. Enough of that shit. All right. Let me quickly scroll across to round 23. Shadoo's right. Wholeheartedly agree. Just be better to people. Sam Mitchell's dog's at my place. Yeah, I don't know. All right. I need to get this screen sharing going. All right. Bounce across here. We'll bring up this. We'll go here. We'll go here. We'll go here. Cats win by 43 points. And I want to hear all of your thoughts, chat, because it was a little bit difficult last night. The stream was popping off last night during post-game live with a lot of your thoughts, and I'm trying to chat to someone at the same time. So a bit harder to engage and get your thoughts there. So I'm very keen to hear what you've all got to say about the Geelong and St Kilda game. Sorry, St Kilda, Sydney game. Be like George. He would never partake in such nonsense on the field. Agreed. George is a king. No, absolutely. But, there's usually, and I won't say 100% of the time, but there's usually some sort of underpinning reason why someone goes with those sorts of comments these days. We're not kids anymore where people would say, sorry, excuse the way I'm doing this, but where someone might say, that's gay when you're at school. Like that, you were dumb teens, maybe you didn't know better, you learnt your lesson, and then you stopped doing it. But anyway, let's move on from all of that now. We do need to kind of move on with the footy talk. Here we go. Cats win by 43 points. The Cats went to Mumbai for a well-deserved win and can't see them losing at the moment, which is a big call. But yeah, they are playing some fantastic football right now. I'm really happy with what I saw on the weekend. I am going to say now, just to be clear, if we're going to, I'm not going to continue on with the conversation around the situation. Kiri's right. Let's talk about the game. I want to hear 3-2-1s in the chat here, because obviously there's had plenty of people come into the stream, gave me their 3-2-1s last night. Want to hear your picks from the game. Aaron's nailed it. Just glad we got off the ground injury free. It's a disgraceful surface. 100% agree with you. I can't understand. I can't understand how they're leaving the game, the ground in such a horrible state. They might have just made a rod for their back with decisions early on, and they're just having to continue to pay the price. They've just got to ride this one out. Thankfully for them. Where does Sydney play this week? Is it all over for them? Yeah, let me check the fixture. Sydney doesn't play at home this week, do they? It's all over. The SCG can be put out of its misery now. Because I assume GWS will get their home game at Energy. Like Geelong should be getting their home game at GMHBA, but here we are. Some votes are starting to come through. Jackie with the 3 to Smith, 2 to Manor, 1 to Axe, 3 to Baz, 2 to Neil, and 1 to Atkins from Shadoo. Keep dropping those votes in there. But look, things are in a pretty good place right now. I'm happy. Duck and Mac, who I don't know if I've seen before in the stream. So welcome aboard if it's your first time here, and apologies for my ignorance if it's not. But 3 to Smith, 2 to Danger, and 1 to Axe. Thank you. Someone really getting around Paddy Dangerfield. I thought he was fantastic on the weekend. And the stat has come out that he's like 4th, equal 3rd, something like that in the competition for goal assists this year. He has been a massive force. It's been awesome to see. Brendan he's flipped the votes. 1 to Manor, 2 to Neil, 3 to Stewart, and 4 to George, who played a fantastic game in the VFL on the weekend. I think people are all too accustomed to Baz playing well. Not many picked him to be BOG. I didn't pick him for BOG, but not because we're, in this case, or at least for my feeling anyway, not because I feel like I'm accustomed to it. I just think Tom Stewart played an exceptional game. Which also, just talking about, I guess, the grand scheme of things and our push towards, finals glory, Tom Stewart, a fit and firing Tom Stewart is really important as a part of that. So I'm stoked to see that he had a great game. And hopefully he can maintain this form now going into the back end of the season. I do understand where you're coming from, Gary, and I'm sure there's some that may be underrating some of his efforts because he's played at such a high standard. But yeah, I think I'm really, really happy with his efforts. Shadu says, I tried to ask this question in the chat a few times last night. Sorry. But do you see danger having to spend more time in the middle coming into finals? Can we afford to? Can we afford not to? I think he's shown that if we need him, he's more than capable of doing it. There's been a few times where pretty early on in the game, even though we've not been necessarily struggling, he's gone in there and taken some midfield minutes. I think part of it's rotations, part of it's strategic. I think there's a whole range of different factors. Sometimes the tone setting exercise, I would like to see, the first bounce of our first qualifying final, that he is there at the center bounce. I would love to see that just in terms of sending a strong message to the opposition. And probably to his teammates as well, for that matter. I'm just checking Goldie's leaving dirty footprints all over my clothes. I would really like to see him make a strong statement, as on behalf of the whole club, make a strong statement. He can go back forward not long afterwards. Don't get me wrong. Doesn't have to stay there. But I think that would be a huge statement for Geelong to make, just to send him out there, bash and crash a few of them, tenderize Lockie Neal if we're playing the Lions in that first game, because he's obviously coming back from injury, and then send him down forward and do his thing. When I say tenderize, nothing illegal, just roughhousing. Gary's dropped his votes in there: 3 to Smith, 2 to Manor, and 1 to Stewart. Dub says 3 to Stewart, 2 to Smith, 1 to Manor. Aaron, Manor, Myers, Neal, Flowers going to Henry and Smith. Not enough of your rating, Paddy Dangerfield. Jackie says Stewie played the most Stewie game we've seen all year. Loved it. Agreed. Gary says Danger's more value up forward. I do agree. I think it's more of a tone setting thing that I'm talking about. It's Henry time. Looking forward to, I think, Ollie Henry coming back this weekend. And if he can acquit himself really well, he gives himself every opportunity. Aaron says we'll need him in the middle versus the Lions. Not necessarily, but I think there's a statement we can make. Shadu, I'm not sure who you're agreeing with. Maybe me, maybe someone else. Sorry. I really like him coming off half forward at centre bounces yesterday to support the midfield. Almost what Manor and Myers have been doing all year. I did like that too, different stages. Kiri says the beauty about Danger this year is we don't need to rely on him to get 20 or 30 disposals every week. He gets his teammates involved as well. The goal, assist, and score involvements figure really highlights that. Well done. Amy says, it worked well, Jackie. It's like he was in the middle, but not. He was elite. Ollie Henry better be throwing himself at everything. Yeah, I think if Ollie gets his chance this weekend, if he wants any hope of featuring in the final series this year, he's got to be throwing his entire body at every single contest, clunking everything. You got to bring that defensive pressure, which I think he's taken that feedback. I really like the games that he's played since that initial dropping. You've seen it. He's had limited opportunities as the sub, or there's been a range of different factors that have not really worked out in his favour. If he gets a gig, I hope he's not the sub. Give him a full game to really assert himself on the contest. Find some form at the top level, get a bit of confidence going, and then who knows? And if it turns out he's not required and we go on and win a flag without him, that would be unfortunate, because I'd love to see the moment of Jack and Ollie getting a premiership together. But whatever, just get out there, throw your body around, fly for the ball. He's still a very good aerialist. Get out there and just play your game, but bring that defensive pressure, and I think we'll be fine. Shadu says, I saw Jack Martin do the splits. Hope no injuries. Just waiting for one of those balls to pop back down again. Did Ben do a sleepover with Gilmore in Sydney? No, he had a sleepover with his wife in Sydney. They are both back. I got the message from Ben before that he was flying into Avalon. He will now be back in Casa de Reeve right now. Next year they have to get rid of the ridiculous medical sub. It does seem like Greg Swan wants to be done with the sub, and all the clubs certainly do as well. So I think that'll be a change in the off season. Ben goes to Darren. Aaron says, if Danger is going to be a genuine forward. Then he needs to work on his set shots. Too wasteful at the moment. He's been a little bit wobbly more recently, but he really had the hang of things not that long ago. Duncan Max returning, saying Jack Martin is our replacement for Isaac Smith. Could be killer in the finals. Agreed. Joshy of Smeg says, when did Ollie last play? Just wondering based on our form since he was dropped. I don't think there's a correlation between them, but 6 weeks ago? The sub's rubbish. Send them to Antarctica. Medi sub Goldman 5 on the bench. Yeah. I don't think we will lose the 23rd player. I just think it'll be an extended bench. Now, maybe there's, an extended bench, but not changing the number of interchanges. They'll still keep the cap. And I think that's the sweet spot. Because then you can't kind of abuse, you're not keeping your players excessively fresh, all those sorts of things. Avalon, isn't that where Spyro lives? Oh, don't get me talking about Spyro games. Fuck, I love Spyro. Anyway. So that is the Geelong and Sydney game. Before we go any further, we'll take a word from our sponsor. See you soon. Drop those flower emojis, please.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Visit them at shop 12 11 Leather Street in Breakwater. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au and use the offer code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next online purchase.
Thank you, Cyril Cook Florist, as always, for your ongoing support of the Hoops Crew and all we get up to. Now, let's keep going here. We're now going to go around the grounds and look at... Lucas says we need a new Spyro game. Agreed. Did I say my 3-2-1? A bit like the coaches' votes. We've just kind of put them under lock and key at this particular point in time. So stay tuned for that when the Hoopies come out in a few weeks. A bit like the coaches' awards, a bit like the player awards. We've just gone and vaulted them now for the last few rounds of the season. So stay tuned. When we go through the Hoopies late in the year, you'll see who my 3-2-1 are. So sorry to kind of hide that one on you there, Shadu. Jack Bose missed the team song. Rude. was he cutting laps? The Hoopies will be back, as Brennan's excitedly getting excited about. All right, let's get going here the rest of the round. Of course, we've kind of done this a little bit to death through some of our other shows up to this point, but the round began with St Kilda just sneaking over the line from the Bombers. A very plucky Bombers outfit there. They gave it a red hot crack and fell just short. For me, the game that destroyed my chances of near on destroyed. We've got some tricky games this coming weekend, but near on destroyed my chance of getting second in my work footy tips. Brisbane won by 57 points. I tipped Freo. That's a shame. No. There's some names there. Shannon Burns going back to back. Gary's doing his bit also. Please support, hit the thumbs up. Doesn't cost anything. Please throw some love behind the Hoops Crew. Like this video. Subscribe if you're new. Again, old mate that's new to the stream tonight, Duncan Mack, at least as far as I recognize, is new to the stream. If you're enjoying it, please don't hesitate to subscribe to the Hoops Crew. There's a whole lot more content there for you to check out. But no, my 3-2-1 is not Danger, Stewie, and Neil. I'll just leave it at that. Stay tuned. The Hoopies will come. Continuing on with the round though, that game kind of blew apart my chances of finishing second. So now I've just got to hang on to third. I run that competition, so I like the fact that I can Barack Obama or put a meme where he puts a medal on his own neck. I'll get to do that with a bronze medal, take some money, hopefully. I'm sitting equal third, but then the margin is heavily in my favor. So I'll be watching the space very, very carefully on Sunday. Sunday in particular, I think, is the tricky one. Aaron, you're right. Freo overrated, but I just thought Brisbane, being as depleted as they were potentially going to struggle. No. Got that one wrong. Continuing on, GWS, another little upset there, beating the Suns. Not a huge upset, but certainly I think surprise for you considering how depleted they are at the moment. Carlton back on the winners list. Scotty, if you're still kicking around, a shout out to Carlton, 54-point win beating the Port Adelaide Footy Club. Hawthorn by 36 points against Melbourne. I'm going to say that like these lower rung teams, the Hawks just keep playing with their food a little bit. Don't love it. I wouldn't love it if I was a Hawthorn fan. They've had some opportunities to really kill their opponents and they're not taking them. Adelaide by 3 points in a pretty awesome encounter. Collingwood with 71-37 inside 50s. Pissed this one away. North Melbourne with a 48-point win and Harry Sheasel with 54 disposals, an equal AFL record. The Cats by 43 points and the Dogs 94-point winners against the Eagles. Brendan says Freo are going to beat the Bulldogs. You just know it's going to happen. I will be tipping the Dogs. But then in the event that Freo wins, and just hypothetically, if my colleague who's sitting equal with me happens to go the other way, then I'm going to have to flip the switch on the next game and quickly. So for me, everything's around these two games. I don't see her I think we'll both tip Essendon, we'll both tip Collingwood, we'll both tip Gold Coast, we'll both tip Adelaide, we'll both tip Geelong, we'll both tip Sydney, we'll both tip GWS. I'm really confident of all these. I'm also really confident of obviously Gold Coast and the Bombers. It's just this one here. These two here. If by some chance she goes Freo and they win, then I'll be flipping my tip that night just to give myself a chance. Because if it blows up my face, I have to do something drastic to try and pinch third back. That'll be where I flip to Hawthorn. But right now I've got Dogs and Lions as the winners in my mind. So let's see what happens. But those are the games of next week as well. So let's quickly cast an eye to the VFL here, where the Cats got a win in what might well have been Mitch Duncan's last ever game of AFL VFL football, or certainly the last one in the hoops, or certainly a chance of it being the last one in the hoops. Played a good game, and if we need him, I think he's ready to go. But the Cats getting the job done, 45 points. We also kicked 16 goals, 15, 111. The Swans with 10-6, 66 in this matchup. Cats by 45 points. You love to see it, but it is all a little bit too late. We will be missing a finals campaign. According to Chris Scott last week, during his preview press conference, the Cats are eyeing off some scratch matches to just kind of keep their second string players in good shape so that if required, then they can be called upon. And then you've got the women as well, who unfortunately, come on. All right. You can have the leftover apple crumble. Then you've got the AFLW, where the girls unfortunately went down to the reigning premiers. Oh, I need to scroll back. Where the girls unfortunately went down to the reigning premiers, North Melbourne, to the tune of 30 points. The Cats right in it as the worm shows. Cats right in it for a long, long time, but just goalless for way too long. They had lots of opportunities, in particular in the third, to pull away, and instead they actually they just really didn't take the opportunities with there. And North steamrolled them. There was about a 5-minute blitz, as you can see here, which put the game well beyond reach. So really unfortunate, but I think there's lots of positives to take from it. The concerns are the injuries to Kate Darby and Jackie Parry. I think it was a calf and an ankle, respectively, if I remember right. So hopefully at least one of them, ideally both, are back for the game next week. And Brennan pops in Bianca's votes, which she discussed last night. Georgie Rankin with 3, Michaela Bowen with 2, and Crockett. Sorry. And Julia Crockett-Grills with the 1 vote. And there, just for a little bit of a snapshot for people, there's some of the numbers and what we're kind of seeing from some of our girls at the moment. So Michaela Bowen, Georgie Prespakis. Michaela Bowen is an absolute rock star. She's so unbelievably good. I would also like someone to answer that question as well. Can someone outline for myself and Gary, when we expect Chloe Shear to be back? Because she is so important to the Cats. But I don't actually have an ETA. I'm not sure of what it is. So if someone's able to clarify that one, that would be great as well. But all right, with that done, And probably 15 minutes to go on the show. I'm keeping this one really indefinite, Kiri says, which is unfortunate. Hopefully we'll see her soon. She's really important. I'm keeping this tight. We're keeping this to an hour tonight because after a 4.5 hour long stream last night, patched, and now this, I need to get some rest and spend some time with my wife too. She might not know who I am by the time I get back inside after basically not seeing her from putting the kids to bed last night through work today and then these streams tonight. I'll be a stranger when I walk in the door. But Q&A time. If you've got ideas, you've got topics that you want to discuss, have at it. In the meantime, I'm also going to queue up our game of the show so we can discuss that as well. And yeah, Kiri and Amy are all shouting out that she had a knee clean out, no timeline. There's an arthroscope there. Still remember how good Chloe was in the robbed Brisbane prelim. Absolutely. We got screwed. Let's not shy from it. We got screwed. Come on, sit down. But yeah, we got our game of the show, your Q&A. So if you've got topics you want to discuss, have at it, throw them out there in the chat, and we'll get into it. Keen to pull it all apart. Who is the sub next week? I would be filthy if Ollie Henry comes in and then is the sub. I'll just put that out there now. I'd be really, really filthy if that's the case. I don't think it'll be Jack Bowes again. But who would it be? Someone we want to manage a little bit. Someone we want to protect a smidge. Struggling for ideas though, off the top of my head. Does Buse get a game? I hope so. Justice for George. Justice for Buse. Justice for Jed. I continue to insist that I think it would be really, really important for him to play. For our chances, I think it makes a big difference. But we'll see. Not too sure what the thinking is there. And if he doesn't get a game, then realistically, don't like it, but maybe he needs to go and explore another club and see what possibilities are there for him, because there's certainly a few that in the pecking order have seemingly overtaken him. And I've just decided, don't know if we're going to see anything from Gamescom this week with it, but I have decided now on what our game of the show is going to be. I'm working this thing out on the fly here, but it's getting an ad. Going to get it all out of the way. Baz will be eyeing off 55 touches this weekend to take that Sheezy record away. I like it. This is a wild one. I look forward to talking about game of the show. I'm just going to get the resolution because for some reason it's set to 144p. World of Warcraft, Shadu says. It's not World of Warcraft, but of course, World of Warcraft will be featuring at Gamescom this week. So stay tuned for more info on that one. World of Warcraft Midnight, I think was the subtitle. Game of the last 21 years. Just your last 21 years. I think might be Brad Close this week. I don't see Brad Close getting subbed. I don't think he's the type of player that needs that rest. So we'll see. I could be wrong, but I don't think he's the right player for it. He doesn't need that sort of management. Keep in mind, Aaron, he's already played game 2. He got subbed in game 2 and got robbed of the Rising Star in game 1. Right in front of me. All right. Well, while I give everyone some time to get their questions together for Q&A, I'll jump to our game of the show. It's a little indie title that takes inspiration from a much acclaimed indie title, which takes a lot of inspiration from the old Steamboat Willie Disney era. This game is called Mouse PI for Hire. Let's get into it.
A clue, a lead. What more could a mouse detective want? is a real mouse changer. Time to play detective and connect the dots. Looks like we just hit the jackpot.
And that is Mouse PI for hire. It's coming to PC, it's coming to Xbox, it's coming to PlayStation, it's coming to Switch next year. Very cool title, bit of Australian involvement as well. Some really cool stuff. So that's that one. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see a little bit of it at the Gamescom showcase on Wednesday morning, but we'll see how that all shapes up. Again, keep an eye out on our Hoops Crew Discord, where we'll be discussing that probably in depth as it's all happening. I'm usually spinning multiple plates at the same time during these big live streams, but yeah, it's a very, very cool looking game. Obviously, Steamboat Willie didn't have much first-person shooting in it, but the art style, very, very cool. Holds up really well. And Mouse PI for hire looks pretty sweet. All right. I'll put it out there again. This is an opportunity for a few more questions, a few more answers, a few more thoughts, points of discussion. Want to hear your thoughts. We won't be revisiting Isaac Rankin. Check out Nuff of the Week tomorrow for my thoughts on that one. But I keep things pretty football-y, not so much political related. But keen to hear your thoughts on every other topic. And then we'll start to wrap things up, because it's been, by the time we're done here, about 5.5 hours of Hoops Crew streams in the last 24 hours. And not to mention recording Nuff, and not to mention the reaction video as well. So been plenty going on there. Oh, Goldie. A little bit of airtime, hey? Shadu asks, oh, damn it. Are we going to see retirement announcements this week? Puts a downer on things a bit. Yeah, look, this will be the week where we start to get a lot of those. Like this week, and then also, like, you know, I mean, look, depends on how many are potentially coming from finals teams. I feel like a lot of those players from the bottom 10 teams have kind of made those announcements so far. I'm sure there's a few that will come out of the woodwork this week. Others that will make their announcement because a delisting is coming. And, you know, it's the respectful way to let the player announce that they're leaving rather than get told that they're leaving publicly. So I think we'll get a few of those. We're also now going to get, you know, especially off the back of next weekend, as soon as that door shuts on round 24, you watch. I'll quickly get back to that. Then we're going to get all the players saying, okay, I want to leave. Like that conversation is going to pop up the moment round 24 is done. That's when we start getting that, okay, I want to go join this club. I want to go join that club. And then we start getting the real cagey ones because they want to join a team that's still featuring in the finals. It starts to narrow down a few things. Tom de Koning will presumably come out, next week, off the back of next week, and say, I want to leave Carlton. Like, all of these ones are going to start to roll out, which is going to make things really, really interesting. Shadu says, Paul, the team being rescued from the lift was not fake news. It was from Tyson himself. That picture was actually of Sully. From last night. Wild. Surely not. That was pretty cool. Thoughts on Disney World Free Roam Park game on PlayStation, Xbox? Sorry, are you proposing one or do you know of one? I'm not familiar with it. But I personally wouldn't be playing a Disney World. Dirty paws. A Disney World free roam park game. So I don't know. Don't have many thoughts on that one, unfortunately. And if it's a real thing, drop me a link of some sort and I'll check it out. How far off the Brownlow is Baslenka, even in the top 3? I think he could feature top 3. And look, he's probably going to be 5 votes away. Like, I don't think it's going to be anything too extreme. It's just a couple of those weeks. Oh, are you talking about like Disney Dreamlight Valley, Lucas? Is that it? Maybe you're talking about Disney Dreamlight Valley. I don't really have any thoughts. It's kind of Animal Crossing like, as far as I'm aware. If we're talking about the same game, I know which one Disney Dreamlight Valley is. It's very Animal Crossing like, but I don't know if that's the game you're talking about. Shannon Neal would be the best secondary key forward in the comp if he didn't kick 4 in the first half like he always does and then disappear. Yeah, I think that's the one thing that we need to see develop in Shannon Neal's game. Like he's getting his 10 to 12, his possessions a game now, which is one of the things I was, I think a big metric that I was looking to see from him. He's kicking plenty of goals. He's been averaging like 3.5 goals in the last month and a half. But I would like to see him remain relevant throughout the game. He has these big blitzes, and it's really important. It's super valuable. And he stepped up this weekend at the beginning of the game when we really needed him, when things weren't going super well for him. But I would like to see a big 4-quarter, consistently relevant performance from him, because we got it from in the game against the Dogs, but that's been a while now. I'd like to see a bit more of that. I think that's the element of his game that I think I'd like to see continue to develop. Ruski says, I reckon if he played in those 2 to 3 games he could have won it. Yeah, I'd agree. And he's got Holmes competing with him as well. But, you can say that for Noah Anderson, for example, who's got Matty Rowell. You got Jordan Dawson, who's got the Isaac Rankins and those sort of guys that are there or thereabouts pinching votes off him as well. Nick Dacos has no one. No, he's got his brother and those sorts who are, will pinch votes as well. But I think the 2 or 3 games probably made the difference. Luke says he's posted in the Discord. In the gaming section, I presume. Where maybe you've dropped it in the Paul James Show chat. Disneyland Adventures full game long play PC, Xbox One, Xbox 360. I have no thoughts on that game whatsoever, Lucas. I'm going to. Wowzers. It's like the old theme park, like Sim theme park. Shitter. Oh, throw it in the bin. Sorry, Lucas. Yes, the potential to be as good as Tom Hawkins. Yes, I would agree he has the potential. I don't think, to some of the conversations we discussed last night on the show, I don't think you were part of that at the time, Aiden, but he's not at the same point that Tom Hawkins. They're so different. They're so different. From memory, the Giants game was when he kicked 5 goals. It was spread out. Yeah, I would agree with that one. That's another good one. Kicked 5 against GWS. Don't forget. Who's our weakest link right now? Lawson. If Lawson Humphries is our weakest link, I've really gotten under Lucas's skin. Yeah, no, the game's shit. Sorry, mate. If Lawson Humphries is our weakest link, we're winning the next 16 flags. Or, 14, 15. For as long as Lawson Humphries is still on our team. If he's our weakest link, that's good. That's a really good thing. I didn't post a Disney game. I posted something that had a graphical style similar. Disney's not putting that, and Disney's not putting out Mouse PI for hire. Not ever. Not the happiest place on earth. Not Lucas Byrne. I've really cut him up. All right, Lucas. It's a very good game. If you like shit. Anyway, any other thoughts? We're about to tick over an hour, so I am looking to wrap this one up for the night. And we can leave it with a smouldering Lucas in the corner there, burnt to a crisp through my sass. He's now just quickly switched over to his Geelong Zone account just to pretend it's not him. Get on the Geelong Zone. Please do. I've obviously just ripped and dunked on Lucas, and it's good fun to do so. But if you haven't already, please subscribe to Lucas's channel, the Geelong Zone. He's been doing watch-alongs and a range of other cool things. So check all of that out. Would be awesome for you to see what Lucas is up to. And Lucas, at some point, when I've actually got a bit more time on my hands, it'd be good to do some collaboration on your side of the fence rather than you coming over to us all the time. So I'm definitely keen to help when the time is right. We'll work something out between us, I'm sure. That might be, though, on that note, where we wrap things up for the night. Thank you all for having... Oh, you did a show with Scotty today. Oh, that would have been a time. Very nice. He's just bounced back to his personal account again. Lucas. Shirts are illegal. Pants are optional. Thank you all for having tuned in. Yeah, Scotty Too Hotty, where is he? He's disappeared. After the last... Like, he was there pretty early on the show. He's gone missing on us, Scotty Too Hotty. But yeah, thank you all for having tuned in tonight. If you haven't already, as Gary constantly reminds you to do, please make sure to like this video, share it with your friends and family, get the word out there about all of the Hoops Crew content, and of course, subscribe to the channel. That's where you're going to get more Paul James Show, post-game live, the Chap Shack Cats, match reactions, Enough of the Week, and a whole lot more. There's lots of stuff coming to the public feed of our YouTube channel, so please consider checking out. But if you want some extra stuff as well, consider checking out our Patreon. $5 a month is all it takes to get a whole range of exclusives, early access, and extended content delivered directly to your email inbox. We love producing this extra stuff, so we're hoping that the $5 is worthwhile to you, and it does help build out what the Hoops Crew can do, makes for a better product, and I'm really, really keen to deliver more for you in this off-season. I've got cricket streams, I've got video game streams that I plan on doing. Really want to continue to engage with you guys over the holidays, but over the holidays, teacher life, over the off season, keen to have a lot more of those conversations, have a lot more fun, and get right off topic as well. It's going to be a good time. So looking forward to doing that. You'll find me on socials, Paul James Games. That's on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram. The Hoops Crew is at the Hoops Crew. Remember, everyone, Ben Reeve is taking the helm for our Thursday night show. He owes me one. I've streamed enough this week, and I've got a pretty full slate for the rest of the week. So the timing of him taking on the reins is absolutely perfect. Thank you all for having tuned in, as always. Remain Geelong strong. Lucas, the logo is solid. I'll see you later.